And here we are back at Talk Truly. If you're looking for us, this is your first time listening, talktruly.com or Truly Effortless Events on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And, we're trying to get all the followers we can. Today, we have Lonnie, and she is, not only a commercial realtor, but she wears so many hats. Every time I talk to her, I find out something new about her. It's hilarious. She is actually one of my favorite people that I probably run into 20 times a week.
That's probably
Lonnie. So we're gonna get into the real estate, but I want to know where you're from. What brought you to Chattanooga, and what exactly is yurt?
You've done some homework. So I'm originally from a little town called Sparta, Tennessee, and we have a common word that I think is pretty exclusive to Sparta. That the history of it, my understanding is it was a previous football player and some of his group that created the word. It is now actually an Urban Dictionary, so it's YERT, not like yurt, like the little structures that people can rent. And basically it just means, hey, how are you? And as you're going through town, you're waving at people, and it was kind of like when you're cruising the strip, that was what you did.
Oh, wow. So what brought you from Sparta to Chattanooga?
Work and a new opportunity. So it's been interesting because I used to be in the medium heavy duty truck industry. So I did a lot of sales with the towing world. That's actually where I met my significant other, was at a tow show. So go figure that one, right?
I need a new tow. Can I get a tow there?
Not that kind of tow.
Oh man.
Yeah, tow trucks and wreckers. So it was basically they're one of the largest manufacturers. I think they are the largest manufacturer of tow trucks here in Ottawa. So.
Oh yeah. I've passed by it on the interstate and I see it. It's like really for kids that are fascinated with tow trucks, which I have some grandsons that are.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
Well, let me know. I might be able to get you a tour sometime.
Whoa, man. Look, who ever knew that I would get like pull at a tow truck place? That is something that was on my bucket list that I did not know I needed.
Yeah.
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 Well, so what got you into real estate? You went from that world, trucking, to real estate. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference, but it's still sales and it's still relationships. And it was kind of funny because my previous broker, who was also a relative of mine, he kept after me one day. He's like, as much as you do in sales, you would love real estate. And I'm like, I don't see it happening. And he talked to me for months before I finally said, okay, I'll just at least take the test. Maybe you'll shut up and leave me alone now. And I said, because I don't see myself as the soccer mom stereotype driving around in a minivan. And he stopped and looked at me and he goes, did you really think about what you just said? And I was like, yeah, you're nothing like any of those comments that I just had in my head of what a realtor or a real estate professional does. He goes, not at all. And he goes, and I have a blast. And as I got into it, yeah, he's right. It's a hard job, but it's also a rewarding career. We do have a lot of fun, but when it's time to get down to the details, that's where we really shine.
Oh, wow. So, you specialize more in commercial real estate than you do residential.
I do now.
So, what made you choose that option than going residential? Because I swear, there's more realtors than there are the homes in the area.
There's literally more real estate agents in Chattanooga than there are homes for sale.
Wow. So commercial.
So commercial, it's a different process. It's similar, but it's different. Having been brought up in a lot of manufacturing, and when I was working in the medium heavy duty truck world, I was in a lot of manufacturing facilities of, if you name pretty much the manufacturer around of, whether it's, I don't want to name drop because I don't know if I'll get in trouble for using their name, but even the big truck manufacturers, I was in there warehouse and facility manufacturing. And I'm used to thinking in those terms of, your dock doors, your spacing of columns, how to move equipment, how to move your finished product in and out of the building, because that's kind of a key part of it too. What power needs do you have for your equipment? Because, not everybody in the manufacturing floor is going to be able to walk up to your standard house outlet and be able to make their equipment use. So you need different power needs. So there's just a lot more to it that was more of a fun fit for me than residential. And, I was successful in residential too. So, I just wanted to try something new and do more,
Well, I could see if you're coming from, like the trucking industry and stuff like that, how it's, you have a clientele that you dealt with this
Correct.
whole time.
Yes.
Let's face it, a business owner compared to a resident, someone who's a homeowner, it's two different attitudes.
It is.
There's black and white, and there's like black and white and gray, or maybe with a little blue, or I like that taupe shade, or, when it comes to homes, that
Yeah.
you really could just go and go like, what do you need? Here's what we have. We don't have this. Yes, you could do that. No, you can't do that.
Right.
Sign right here.
Yep. It's a business transaction. It either makes financial sense for their business or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then we keep moving to something else.
So now with, on the commercial side,
Mhm.
I know it's probably going to be here or there. What's the pros to owning to leasing?
In that regards, it's very similar to residential, because
Mhm.
if you're leasing, you're putting your money to somebody else's property. And if you're owning it, and if it was like a multi-center, then you're actually drawing in income from other tenants. If you're an owner user, then you're kind of paying yourself, if you will. It's depending on how you have it set up with your accountant and doing the right thing with taxes
Well,
and all that stuff. But
so you could deduct it.
so you can deduct it. But you're investing in property that hopefully is going to grow more significantly than a house will.
Yeah.
Because there's more needs, there's less of it. So that, there's homes everywhere. Commercial buildings, there's not as many.
I know they're building a new one like right by on East Springer. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's going to be
Yeah.
East Springer, Tennessee is where I live. So, the thing about commercial, what are the things that you need to know ahead of time before you start looking?
The biggest things that you need to know is, what is your budget? How much square footage do you need for what you're going to do? If where you're looking at, if they allow the usage. And I'll just use this as an example, like a tattoo parlor.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody wants a tattoo parlor in with where, maybe it's attorney's offices or whatever. It's just not a good fit. If you're wanting to put in a salon, like a hair salon, okay, do you have the sinks that you need? Do you have because they deal with a lot of chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
is there going to be an issue with chemicals? If you have a liquor store or, distillery, what's that going to do to the insurance of the neighbors that's in the same area? Because it can cause their insurance rates to go up. So some landlords may not want that in there because of that. It's
So
alcohol. It's fuel.
do you find that there's a ton of commercial buildings with restrictions?
Oh, yeah.
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 So that's the typical restrictions you'll
Mhm.
find.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. I think it's common knowledge that you can't have like a liquor store so many miles from a church or whatever.
Correct.
And
I
stuff
think it's
like
about 100 feet.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, feet, not miles.
Yeah.
A little
And the
different.
same for schools. Like, you can't be within so far of a school either.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole, keeping our kids sober, that's the goal.
That
Yeah.
is the goal, really.
But they could put a coffee shop right there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but caffeine's not addictive. No, not at
No.
all. East Springer, where I live, is the most caffeinated spot in Chattanooga. I think we have 9 total coffee shops on East Springer.
And I would say at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see. Well, Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
nine. With more coming, because even that new little complex, it's a Hurricane Creek thing that's right across the street.
Right.
You know, and they posted it in my neighborhood thing, and of course I had to make the comment. I'm going like, I hope there's a coffee shop.
Not you.
Because there's just going down the road, oh, no one, oh, then there's like two of them stacked in on top of each.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then they're wondering why, like, traffic, everybody's so jittery in traffic. Yeah, so tell me more. If I starting a business,
Mhm.
I'm going like, oh man, I don't know what I want to do. you know you think it's wise, like, they give you come to you, go like, well, what do you need, Ed? Well, I need as little as possible.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, in real world terms, it's not realistic, but again, in real world terms, that's what everybody's going to say.
It's very applicable. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would the process be if, like, somebody wants to start a business, they call you, what would you do?
Well, actually, I recently had that happen.
Wow.
There was a lady that called, and she wanted to ask about a certain building that we have listed. And so I'm going through the details of that, and I could tell in the conversation that she didn't really understand everything I was saying, which was a flag to me of, okay, let's slow down and back up a little bit, and let's talk a little bit deeper about what her needs are. And, the biggest one was, okay, what is it you're going to be doing? I don't remember the exact business she had, but, I just say it was a restaurant. We'll pull coffee shop.
Oh, man.
It's a coffee shop with, they're baking in there. So then it's like, okay, do you know what equipment you need? Do you need a grease trap? Do you need a hood? Do you need, a lot of these other terms that are common in the restaurant world? And she's like, well, I don't really know. I say, so do you need foot traffic, or is it going to be people driving to it? Well, I think foot traffic. Okay, well, the location that you're looking at probably is not going to be best for that, because there's not a lot of foot traffic. There's not sidewalks. It's hard to get in and out of with the car. So it's like, this may not be a fit either. How much square footage do you need? Well, I don't really know. Okay, well, what all, do you have seating requirements in mind? Is it going to be someone just walk into the coffee shop and say, hey, I want a bagel and a cup of coffee, and go on their way? Or are they going to sit down and hang out for a while and eat a breakfast pizza or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
By the way, I have a property for you for that.
Okay.
Aaron Bollinger, if you're listening to this podcast, which I hope you are, I'm going to be sending you some business.
So, and then it's just, digging more into the details of what all they need. And then in that situation, say you're looking at a lease, okay, let's talk about the terms. Are you, does the landlord or you want it to do any of the improvements? Maybe it's a shell and it needs lighting and paint. Maybe it needs drywall or a door put in, or the HVAC system needs to be updated because it's not current. And then let's just go over the lease that you're presented to make sure, hey, when you're covered on everything that you need, that maybe you're not liable for all the HVAC repairs. It's an older system, because some leases can be written that you take care of that. That can be a few $1,000s for you if you take on the responsibility of doing that. So it's almost like we need to review all the details of the lease too before you sign off on anything, because there's a lot of ways you can be on the hook for items that you may not realize. And there's different type of leases too. So it's, maybe you want to pay, and just pulling numbers for the conversation, $16 a square foot, but it's a triple net lease. So what does that mean to you? That covers your taxes and insurance. Well, how much is that going to be? Okay, so we have to go back to tax records and make sure we're pulling it off the correct base year to help protect you too, so that you're only paying for a certain amount. Well, if your budget is $2,000, your $16 a square foot puts you at that $2,000. Your triple net now has you over that budget. So we need to negotiate either the triple net's going to be what it is for that building, but let's back up your price per square foot to get you back to that 2,000 a square foot or 2,000 a month budget. So it's a lot of little things like that we can do to help.
I'll tell you what, I know restaurants. I don't know if this is a real scenario. That is such a roll of the die.
Yeah.
Whenever you're doing a restaurant, because you're relying on a lot of, people, I was talking about this. You could have all the advertising in the world, but it's all about relationships. And if somebody comes there and they love it and then they tell their friend, try this out, that's what's going to happen. I know for commercial realtors, I've had friends, that needed some in the past, whether it's for a garage, which, seems to be a common thing, or, but I met one guy that his aspiration was he wanted to start building these multi-complexes to where it was like, well, you go and he'll have like 10 bays and you can rent out one little bay or something
Yeah.
out of it. What are those called? Is it
Like garages or
like garage?
yeah.
But it could be any type of business. They just put them in there. Is that becoming more and more common?
It is, and particularly in some of the other states, that's more common, where you have like a little bit of an office space up front, but you have like a warehouse or a dock doors or whatever in the back for whatever it is you need to do. Here, I would think that more should be coming. I don't know of a whole lot of them here right now, but it's a very big need. So any investors that are listening,
Yeah, exactly.
we need this.
We need that, where it seems it's always by an airport.
Yeah.
Always by an airport.
Well, it's cheaper land typically because no one, the airplane noise, people don't want to be around it. So,
I never thought about that. I thought it was always like it was good because you had easy access to anything. But then again, who's flying all the time?
Right. Other than like one of the shipping companies in Memphis.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I told you, I warned you, I told you ahead of time. Now, I spoke to Jessel Joseph with One Pride, and we were talking about lawns. As a realtor now, put on your regular residential realtor, does a lawn make a difference in a home?
Absolutely. It's part of the curb appeal.
Really?
Yes.
So when you're selling a home, again, switching hats for you, what are like the 5 tips, would you say? Curb appeal.
Curb appeal, have the outside shrubs and stuff trimmed up, looking neat. Have your grass looking good, which is a big one. If you have flowers, make sure they're, if you name alive and they look good.
Not a bunch of sticks.
Not a bunch of sticks. And then interior, the kitchen's always the big one. An updated kitchen will help sell your house a lot faster than one that hasn't been touched since the 80s.
Yeah, because they don't want to spend money on appliances.
Right. And, even the countertops are an issue. Bathrooms, the primary bedroom and bathroom are also big ones.
Yeah.
And change the light bulbs out in your house. Make it bright, particularly if you're showing your house. Have the window blinds and stuff open. Have it very inviting when they walk in so they can actually see. If it's dark, people are going to kind of go, what are you hiding? So you want it well lit.
That's a good point. I was wondering, I'm like, I bet your kitchen and bathrooms are going to be big.
Yeah. Is that 5 things? I didn't even count.
Let's see, curb appeal, kitchen, bathroom, lighting. And mold. You got to give me one more.
One more.
Floor.
Floor, yeah.
Flooring is a big
Floor
deal.
is a big one too.
Yeah.
But the big ticket items that people look at too is like the roof and your HVAC system. So that's 2 big items. If you know they need repair and you can afford it, I would say get those because they're going to be asked for or the price is going to be negotiated down to allow for it.
Well, I had a neighbor one time in life that he documented everything. So when it came time to selling his house, he just busts out this book and these people were going like, oh, I'll be honest with you, they probably bought the house from that book alone. They go like, they knew that he cared for it.
Yeah. I've had one of my clients before that we sold their house that he was like that.
Yeah.
Very detailed.
And very easy sell, wasn't it?
Very easy sell.
So, it's the little things that matter.
It is.
So, getting back to commercial, where grass is not as important, but it still is.
It still is.
It still is. What about all these malls that are being emptied and they're, you have we have like a bunch of mini malls that I've seen
Mhm.
that this becoming like a ghost town. Do you think that that's going to be revived, or you think eventually it's just going to be torn down and made into something else from your experience?
For my experience, it could be either or.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of investors that look for strip centers, strip
Mhm.
malls, particularly to either revive them or repurpose them. So it could be, some of the ones I've seen, not necessarily here in Chattanooga, but they have repurposed them for living.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it's like they've taken like the old malls that we grew up with,
Hmm.
and you go inside that they're actually become housing, either studio apartments or depending on how they do it. And it's expensive to do that
Oh,
because of the
wow.
plumbing and all the requirements that are needed. But
But I can imagine, like, if you had some
yeah,
place like the local mall here that was
yeah,
turned into a living place,
yeah,
that would be beautiful.
yeah,
You'd have a lot of walkers,
you would have a lot of
a
walkers.
lot
Yeah,
of walkers.
and a lot of them are becoming storage units too.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Storage units. That was a craze that I wish I would have jumped on, you know, decades ago.
Yeah,
Because whoever, start putting them up, just put it right there,
yep,
put some cameras up, you're good.
yep. It's
I
a
love
low
them.
cost, low
Shout out to
maintenance.
Matt Carson. I love your storage building.
Yeah, I don't know that which storage units he has, but yeah, there's still a
Boundless
need.
Moving and Storage.
Okay, yep,
Yep.
yep,
He was actually at Truly Realtor. Um, His big one is in Cleveland, and it's huge.
yeah,
It's become the home of Truly Effortless Events. We have all our stuff there.
okay.
So I find myself collecting signs and everything. Just talking today that I'm about to start buying TVs and all that good stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
things you do to make it look professional. Yeah.
and how quickly it adds up.
Does add up. When I need to start I used to do cheerleading competitions all over the country
Oh wow.
and had a semi truck full of equipment. And it was, when I did Truly Realtor in Chattanooga, we helped set up and we tore it down. And the staff at the venue came to, because one of my business partners, he and I were business partners in a cheer company. We made a
Okay.
pact that we were always going to be business partners. That's Lawrence, sorry, great guy. We just fall into a different groove and just nonstop, to the point where when we finished, the guy from the venue said, would you consider coming do this over here for us?
Oh wow.
Because you guys y'all have it down pack. I said, well, the reason why we have it down pack is because if we didn't get it down quick, we weren't going
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
So we just no hee-hawing, no, hey, how you doing? What do you think? What? Get it done. Just get it done and get out of there, because we can't. We don't have time to hang around.
So I've worked a lot of trade shows. So I'm gonna ask you, would you always sit back and wait for that first sound of the tape gun going? That was like your cue to, okay, we can start tearing down now.
Well, for trade shows, it's kind of weird. I had to make it an institute a policy, for like tearing down early and stuff like that,
Correct.
because it's like a domino effect.
Oh, yeah.
One person tears down, and they'll go like, "Well, he's tearing down.
Yep.
I'm going to tear." Well, but you can never control traffic of where they're going to come.
Nope.
It's like playing chicken, as doing a show. And I'm telling you, I'm doing a show. Everybody's going like, "Are they really going to do the show?"
Yeah.
Hey, is it still on? I said it was on. Okay, just checking. Then a couple weeks later, you still gonna have the show? Yeah. So and then it goes from a game of chicken to watching your favorite show on TV. So people, when they're watching their favorite show on TV, they wait till season 3 to start watching it, because they don't want all their characters. They want to develop and know that it's still going to be around. But when you're doing a show, you're going like, come on. I'm telling you, we're going to be here next year.
Yeah.
But you just have to go through that, and, the thing. But as it grows, just like Truly Realtor, when we first did it in Chattanooga, I mean, I expected more. It was more than what people thought because it was too long of a day. But Truly Realtor Chattanooga this year, oh my gosh, it's really gotten it down to the heart because I've had two Truly Realtors before to figure out what to make it better. And it's gonna be awesome. Now, this has been an amazing conversation. You you are a great storyteller, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
How, if somebody was trying to get in touch with you, how would they do it?
Telepathy.
Oh.
Hey, I'm in the Area 52 studio here, so
What am I
gotta do that,
thinking
right?
now? Okay.
No, that's where you call Lonnie Marcus at Brockman Missile Group. And my number, and this is my cell number, is 931-252-4357.
And that's so Brockman, is that a Keller Williams or
It's KW Commercial,
a
yeah.
KW commercial?
Yeah.
So that's the team you're on.
That's the team I'm on.
So, one day I'm just going to have a whole podcast about just talking about teams.
Yeah.
I think, I know who I'm going to talk to. Doug Edrington with the Berkshire Hathaway.
Yep.
Great team. He's going to be one of the speakers at Truly Realtor.
Okay.
But, I think I'll talk to him about teams since he has a successful team. But thank you again for joining us on Talk Truly. Thank you again, Lonnie. I really appreciate it. I'm going to call you every other name. Lonnie, Monty, Tony, anything.
Just make it up,
Just make it up. Thank you again. TalkTruly.com. If you want to tell people about this podcast, you might have found it just going through a link, or, you found it on Lonnie's Facebook, or, I'm going to be posting in different groups, or you might have found it on TikTok, because it's going to be on TikTok as well. Look for Truly Ed. That's what I go by on TikTok. A little bit over 10,300 followers on TikTok.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Yeah, that's impressive. I don't even have a TikTok account, so yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I have some great people on TikTok that follow me. In fact, it's a whole different community.
Yeah.
That's
what I've heard.
Yeah, and when you get on there, you engage with everybody. Thank you again for joining us. I appreciate you. Again, my name is Ed. The name of our company is Truly Effortless Events. I'm at Area 52 Studios. So if you ever want to get into podcasting, you want to do a TV show, you want to do anything, this is the place to do it, because to be honest with you, these guys here are amazing. They know what they're doing. It's impressive. They even, go by whatever name you give them that day. It's kind of funny. I know there's somebody at the soundboard laughing right now, but until next time, we'll see you. Have a great day.